I'm going to take advantage of the good morning and welcome to Greenville High School, freshly remodeled and renovated cafeteria. We hope that you guys got to see some of the brand new aesthetics that we have here for our high schoolers as they enjoy lunch. Well, my name is Zachary Aguilar, and I have the unique honor and privilege of serving as the Director of Communications for Greenville ISD, and I love what I do every single day because I get to connect with you guys and I get to connect with our students and staff. So on behalf of all of our team, our high school team, our Wesley Martin administration team, our school board, welcome to the State of the District 2025. We have lots of exciting news to be able to share with you this morning. But before we jump right into that, I want to say thanks to a special group of people. And that's to the Greenville Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us and helping make sure that this event runs smoothly. You guys all registered for this event through the Chamber of Commerce, and so we're so proud for the partnership we have there. But also, this event could not go on without the incredible support of the sponsors that you see up here on this list. You'll see some of their staff up here as well enjoying lunch. So thank you so much to L3 Harris, Britton Chevrolet, Nissan of Greenville, American National Bank of Texas, GEUS Quality Care, and Science Go. Really, this event and all of the things that we do in Greenville ISD would not be possible without their generous support. And it's the support of you guys as communities showing up each and every day to learn more about what's happening on the inside. Also, while you guys are enjoying that hot meal, I want to say a special thank you to our child nutrition team. They've catered and done all of the food for this morning and this afternoon's event. So hopefully you enjoyed the chicken and the vegetables and the mashed potatoes, which are my favorite. And then, of course, the brand new desserts that they rolled out for you guys today. We just want to give them a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Well, before we jump into the program today, we've got lots of fun, factual information for you about where we are as Greenville ISD, what we're doing, how we're moving forward, and the incredible things our students and staff are doing here each and every day within the walls of our campuses. I want to share with you kind of the vision of this year. What is our vision for 2025-2026 school year? Each and every year we sit down as a team with communications, with our administration team, with Dr. Lopez, and we say, what do we want our heart and soul to be as we launch into this new school year? And so March of last year, we started that planning process as we loaded up to this brand new school year, and we came up with this simple statement. If you followed us for some time, you'll know that last year our mission or our vision was to set the standard, and the year before that it was to move forward together. And so this year we wanted something fresh, something clean that really resonated with what we were doing on each of our campuses. And that's where we came up with the statement that we are pursuing the possible, which is what you can see down here at the bottom of the presentation today. And what does that mean in short? Pursuing the possible means that if our students and staff dream it and believe it, we want them to know that it's possible. From the kindergartner that wants to be an astronaut and land on the moon when he gets older, all the way to the teacher that wants to pursue their master's or their doctorate's degree, or those that want to chase careers that seem so far stretched, or careers that some might say, you can't do that. Us as a district, we want to stand behind them and say, no, what you want to do is possible. And we want to give you every single element to be able to make that happen. So I'll stop talking now, and I'm going to show you guys a brief commercial that we have just to kind of give you a glimpse into what pursuing the possible means.
It always seems impossible until it is done. I know this truth, for I have lived it.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon.
Some say it can't be done. Some say the challenge is too big. They say the goal is out of reach, that what you are dreaming is impossible. But at Greenville ISD, we see it differently. Impossible becomes a problem to solve, a question to answer, a project to build. Every experiment, every calculation, every test brings us closer to what they thought we couldn't do. Impossible becomes a song to sing, a story to tell, a painting to create, a performance to perfect. In every note, every line, every step, it shows what we can achieve when we try. Impossible becomes a question to explore, an idea to chase, a dream to grow. And every book we open, every discussion we have, shows the power of curiosity and courage. Impossible becomes a moment to act, a heart to serve, a hand to help. Because every kind word, every project, every smile makes the world a little brighter. When our students and staff dream it, we want them to believe it's achievable. We want them to know that they're supported, valued, and capable of greatness. Because together, we're building leaders, dreamers, and doers. We're preparing students to take on what's next, because here, every step forward redefines what we can achieve. And this year, in Greenville ISD, our students and staff are pursuing the possible.
Well, fantastic. That's our vision for this year, and we hope that you guys as a community will link arms with us and just tell every one of our students and staff that what's dreamed on the inside of their heart of hearts and inside their minds is absolutely possible when we come together and work together to make that happen. Well, without further ado, I do want to take this opportunity to now welcome up our proud Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Joe Lopez.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you to all of our team members that made today especially possible. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our board members that are here, as well as those that aren't here. And so I'd like to begin with Angie Taylor, our board president. Chelsea Tippett, vice president. Tish Woodrup, secretary. Kadeem Johnson, board member. Bonnie Jean Stewart, board member. Miss Millie Edwards, board member. And last but not least, Jeanette Rowland, board member. What I can share with you is that our Board of Trustees is relentless in doing what's best for our district, what's best for our staff, and most importantly, what's best for our students. And so, I do want to personally take this time to thank them for all their hard work, for their numerous hours. To say that we work hand in hand would be an understatement. It's because of their commitment that we're able to do what we do here in Greenville. So thank you to our Board of Trustees, and thank you for being here this morning as well. Well, obviously, as a superintendent of schools and the proud superintendent of schools for GISD, I would not be able to do my job without some instrumental people that are part of my cabinet. And so I'd like to take this time to, recognize Mr. Wes Underwood, Deputy Superintendent of Administration, Dr. Shazma Cooks, Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Corey Martin, Dr. William Anderson, Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Mr. Heath Jarvis, Mr. Shannon Fulp, Assistant Superintendent of Technology, Chief Ramon Rodriguez, our Chief of Police, and Ms. Amy Wade, our Executive Director for Communications. So let's start with some district highlights. Obviously, this is what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about some of the great things that are happening. And so, you should know that one of our focal points headed into this year, of course, with, the legislative opportunities we had, but also just looking at how do we make Greenville ISD the hub? We are the big dog, the big lion in this county, but we needed to show and back that up with what we could do for our staff. And so we made it a focal point, thanks to our Board of Trustees, thanks to our Chief Financial Officer, Corey Martin, and a lot of team members coming together that say that we wanted our starting pay to be at $56,635. Now, that puts us in a competitive state. We also gave our administrative staff 3% of the midpoint and 10% increase for all teachers, and a 10% for all non-administrative staff, our hourly staff. And so when we were looking at that, we were focused on our teachers first and foremost, but also our hourly staff. That is our maintenance workers, our support staff, our aides. We wanted to see them, and oftentimes you hear when they get a raise, it's like, well, I got a 30-cent raise. And so we were focused on how do we make it $1.50 to $2 raise. See something that they would see in their pocket that they'd be able to say that, we are valued, we are supported, we're considered by our district. And so that was important for us. And obviously, this was to recruit, retain our high quality staff. One of the things that we wrote out last year in the middle of the year was we knew that there was a high need for our special education teachers. And so we put out a stipend of $7,000 if you work in our highly special needs units. And if you're an inclusion teacher and you're going in and work with other students, you get a $4,000 stipend. And so that was huge for our community, huge for our staff, to let them know that we know that they are valued, and we wanted to give that back to them. So some highlights. Obviously, last year was a big year for us as a community. We brought back elementary UIL. This was a board initiative, and we were proud to roll it out. And so this year we'll be going into year 2 of that. And of course, our long-term goal with this is that at some point we'll be going out to compete against other districts, just because I'm competitive, and we want to take our Greenville kids out into the other communities and show them what we got. But while we're building our program back up, we want them to have that opportunity to compete amongst themselves, amongst the schools. And so we're proud of that. We also rolled out our teacher incentive allotment. That is where our teachers have the opportunity to earn more monies based on their academic performance and growth with their students. And so this was huge, and you might have seen that in the news, you might have seen that on Facebook. Without saying, if you haven't heard about our solar car team, they are world trendsetters. Obviously, we are so proud of them and all the hard work that goes into it. We know that we want to be able to do that with many sponsors. Some of those sponsors are here in this room today to help us send our kids, and of course with the board support and making sure that whenever our kids need things, we give that to them. But you know, what they set out to do was just amazing. And you know, when I was speaking to their sponsors and to their teachers, you know, one of the things that they said is this year was going to be different. We wanted to go and not just participate, but to compete. Now, when they made that decision to go and compete, it raised the level of challenges, and they were faced with so many hardships, but they persevered and they just worked through it. And you know, like I told them at the end when we saw them, you know, we're just so proud of what they do. Only high school in the nation, only high school in the world, but they're out there competing against the best. And you know, like I said, I'm competitive, so we'll put our kids up against anybody, any day. You know, Destination Imagination, we had our kids go to globals. I was blessed to be able to go to their global competition. That was in Dallas, and it was great to see our kids perform. You know, of course, they're out there competing against the best of the best, and so we're proud of that. District highlights as well, dealing with our sweepstakes, our Mighty Lion Band. They've, you know, earning the wind ensemble. And then our Lone Star FFA program. If you haven't heard or don't know, we've got over 700 plus kids in our FFA program. That's huge. And anybody who's been involved with FFA, which I'm a strong supporter of, you know, they do a great job to help mold our young men and women. And so we're proud of them, and we're proud to announce their accolades. If you didn't see it, well, it'll be back next year as well too. We wanted to kick off our homecoming parade. It was we had this idea. I know Chief, myself, Cabinet, Dr. Stewart. We had kind of concocted this idea a year ago, and then about a month, you know, a couple months before, we said we need to follow through with this. This would be a great opportunity just to show our community our pride, our school spirit. We still have that down home feel, and so we projected a route. I'm kind of sharing you the behind the scenes story, right? We had this design that we're going to keep it short and sweet because we thought, well, what if people don't show up? I mean, it's the first time bringing it back. Well, if you were there, we're going to have to expand it because that short and sweet didn't work. I mean, we made the turn, came back around toward Market downtown, and then everybody was just hanging out. And I was leaning over, speaking to a couple board members, speaking to community members, but, you know, it was this nostalgic feeling of this is what it's all about. You know, you put on a homecoming parade and nobody left. I mean, if we probably could have had a barbecue out there and just sat around and told stories, but there were so many kids and there were so many groups. And so, you know, we are proud of the fact that we're changing our culture. We're going back to the roots of what Greenville is known for. But more importantly, we're building that connection with our community. And it was great to see all our kids out there. I mean, we might have to put up a barbecue next year or something. I don't know. I'm probably going to create more work for my team. But I encourage you to, you know, if you didn't make it to the parade this year, come and join us next year. It's going to be bigger and better. We'll have some food. Maybe we'll just cook hot dogs. The board and I can do hot dogs or something. Or they're like, don't put us. No, but I mean, I can tell you that we were very, very proud of that. Obviously, we have a bass fishing team. If you haven't heard about them, they're out there making their mark. This was a group that came to see me my first year as superintendent. They said, hey, you know, we've got a group of kids that are interested in doing bass fishing. There's opportunities for scholarships. It gives our kids for a different group of kids. And one thing that you'll find about me as superintendent is that I want to make sure that we're trying to reach out to all our kids. We want them to all have their niche. What can we do to help support them in their endeavors? And so we kicked off our bass fishing program. If you get a chance to go out there and maybe join them at a competition, it's a lot of fun. I will say that I chose the one competition to go to last year that was cold and rainy. And I'm not going to make that mistake again. But my kids were there. My wife was there. Nobody complained. I fed them pizza at the end. But our kids are doing a great job with that. We are so proud of our Carver Elementary Folklorico team. Year in, year out, these kids show up. They dance their hearts out. And so we're so proud of what they're doing out there. I know their sponsor, Ms. Rios, who was also our Teacher of the Year last year for the elementary, does an outstanding job. And so if you haven't seen them perform, sign them up. We've also got our Greenville Middle School STEP team. This was a new group that was started mid-year last year. We are proud to support them. This is a group of kids that love to dance. And if you haven't seen them dance, along with our Folklorico team, I can tell you they can step it. Now, if you ask me to go and step, my wife says I don't have rhythm. I believe I still got the moves, but maybe I'll join them and see if I can stomp a little, but it's great. And that's the thing, is that we want to make sure that all of our kids have that opportunity. Find their niche. What do they love? Help them build their passions. Help them motivate them to pursue the possible. Why not? And why not here in Greenville? District overview. Oh, now we're getting to the meats and to the nitty-gritty, but we've got 9 campuses. We have 1 traditional high school, 1 early college school program, 1 non-traditional high school, 1 middle school, 1 intermediate, 4 elementary schools, and 1 early childhood center. We have 6 supporting facilities. We've got the Wesley Martin Administration Office, Transportation Offices, Houston Education Center, the maintenance bays or maintenance building, or what I like to call the farm, where everybody goes out to, farm building, King Street building, and the old TxDOT building. We had 356 graduates. 46% of them earned industry certifications. We had 3.2 or 22 million in scholarships reported, and 18 graduates earned their associate's degree. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to go through our academic performance and achievements, school safety, security, financial health, budget overview, and a facility infrastructure. Academic performance and achievements, our 2025 accountability ratings. So, as a district, our goal coming in last year as a new superintendent was to, one of my goals was to kind of come in, listen, learn, observe, see what's happening, and of course make adjustments along the way in pursuit of raising our scores. Obviously, if you look at our scores, you can see some areas where we showed some growth. We had Bowie Elementary that was rated a 66 of D. They bumped up to a 79 of C, which is 1 point shy of being a B-rated campus. Carver Elementary, Crockett stayed the same. Lamar was right in the hunt with a 78, dropped down to a 77, but we know that they can pursue and hit that B. We have no doubt. Travis went from a 60 to 62. When you look at the middle school, and I like to point that out, they went from a 48F to a 59F. And when these scores came out, it was kind of like getting hit in the stomach. It hurts because, and this is one thing that I always share, our staff and our students give it their best. And I believe that in my whole heart and soul. But this would be a classic example of, we did it right. In 1 year, 11 points, but we still fell short. And it's tough because I'm not going to go back to my staff or to my principals or to the teachers and say, well, that was for naught. They should celebrate those gains, but in the way that it works with accountability, anybody else would just say, well, it's still an F. You don't get to say, well, we went up 11 points and it's still an F. It's just, it's that perception and that burden. But what I want to assure you is that we recognize that, we thank our staff for the hard work, we thank our students because those are gains. It's not just numbers. Those are students that are growing, and we should be proud of that. It's hard, though, because we're going to get slammed in the community and with the way things are in the state of Texas, because they're going to say, well, you're still a D-rated district. You're still an F-rated campus. But what I want to share with you, that many of you are community members, many of you are parents, many of you are just concerned citizens that are here, is that we're going to continue working it. We're going to continue grinding it to do what's best for our kids. And at the end of the day, the tests do matter. But what matters is that we're producing global citizens that can go and be successful, because we've got a lot of them doing great things in our community, throughout the state, and everywhere that we go. And so, and then of course at the high school, New Horizons, that's kind of where we fell. But, one thing that you'll notice is that we did release our scores before any of the other districts around us. We did that before this TA released it. And it's not because we wanted the accolades or the pats on the back to say, well, you know, we're jumping ahead. We did it because we got to be transparent with our community. We have to call it like it is, black and white, keep it simple, and share where we're at. But what I want to share with you is that we're going to keep grinding it out and giving it the best we got. And we're proud of the gains that we made. And I'm good with that. You know, we're gonna keep working hard. So now I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Crooks and Wes Underwood, who are going to talk about what we're doing to address our ratings, and then I'll be back at some point towards the end.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. So you're going to see up here just a few of the initiatives that we have going along to address some of our academic areas, and so we want to be able to talk about that today. First and foremost, we want to start with where it all starts, and that is with our kindergarten kids. This year we have had kindergarten aides into every kindergarten classroom to help promote literacy, to allow small group instruction to be effective, and to allow for those opportunities for those kids to be able to be pulled in small groups, and to make sure that we are moving on all fronts there. So that's just another initiative that we are using to bolster our kindergarten classrooms, because we know they're the tip of the spear. And so if we get those kids on pace and on track early on, then we know that their chances of success and their student outcomes are greatly increased. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Crooks, who's going to talk about some curriculum changes as well.
All right, so speaking of kindergarten, when we think about our K through 3, I'm going to say, we are thinking about the science of reading and making sure that our teachers are equipped with the fundamental skills to make sure that we are developing readers in the district. So how are we doing that? We have a partnership with Foundations in Teaching for our K2 teachers. And what we're doing is we're taking samples, so we're measuring. We're doing a beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year assessment to see where our students are starting and where they are ending. But in the interim, in between times, we are also progress monitoring. So one of the things that we were intentional about last year were our running records. And we've expanded upon that this year. We're not just sampling the running records, but we're making sure that the phonemic awareness skills and fluency and vocabulary and all of those components are also present for those students, making sure that the number of words that they should know by the time they finish kindergarten, we're nailing that so that they're prepared to receive the skills that are in the first grade. Also, as a part of a Texas state initiative, all teachers K through 3 must go through the Texas Reading Academy. So we are nearing the end of having all of our teachers participate in that. I think right now we still have about 35 that are wrapping up now. But in addition to them receiving the skills that are anchored in the science of teaching reading, they also have 10 face-to-face sessions with the experts in the field, as well as those experts come to the campus to observe those teachers in action and provide coaching in the classroom.
Excellent. Part of that curriculum initiative also includes new math curriculum. An area where we've kind of struggled over the last few years has definitely been in the area of math. And so this year the district adopted Bluebonnet math for K through 5 kids and STEM Scopes math for our 6 through 12 students. And with that, it's a program that is really we're starting to see the benefits from with our kiddos, and so we're very excited about that. But we also have a strong partnership with the Region 10 Educational Service Center. And with that, as we look about what that implementation looks like, we wanted to make sure that we laid the foundation first with our campus administrators to make sure that they were fully trained in these new curriculums. Then we brought in our teachers over the summer. We brought in our content coordinators over the summer. And started to train them. And then we have training that is scheduled throughout the year as well. In fact, we had Bluebonnet training going on this morning. So as kids were off this morning, teachers were getting an update, campus principals were getting an update to make sure that we were moving on all fronts, and that was going well. So it's been great to see as we walk into those classrooms, the activities that kids are doing, and the progress that they're making. So that's been a really good thing to be able to see. So again, that's math curriculum that is really stretched out K through 12. So Bluebonnet is what we're covering for our K5, and then STEM Scopes math is what we're covering with 6-12. Region 10 partnership has been very instrumental, but our partnership does not stop there. The partnership also expands into our PLCs to make sure that our principals and teachers are fully trained in what PLC stands for is our professional learning communities. That's a time where our teachers come together once a week and they take a look at the lessons that are coming up that they've planned for. It gives them an opportunity to kind of break apart the teaks. It gives them an opportunity to internalize those lessons and then rehearse those lessons as well in that time space so that when they step in front of students, they are ready to go and they are fully prepared when they step into those classrooms. And then as well with that Region 10 partnership and that PLC support, they come in and they observe some of our PLCs, they provide us some feedback, and then provide training throughout the year as well. Additional training that we have around that is really taking a look at the work that we're putting in front of students because we need to make sure that that work that we too put in front of students is meeting the mark. Does it meet the depth and does it meet the complexity? So as we go throughout the year, there'll be more training on student work analysis protocols with our staff and with our administrators to make sure that that work is fully aligned.
And we all know without vision, people perish, right? And so the way that we're making sure that we're staying on track with the district goals, another thing that we have brought in this school year is Texas Color Bands. And so Texas Color Bands is helping us take the accountability system and make it more manageable and digestible for our campus administrators and our teachers. There is a lens of this where students' goals set so that their goals align with the campus goals, so that the campus goals align with the district goal. Basically, the concept of this, and it's a really neat concept of Texas Color Bands, is that every kid grows a color. So when you think about the accountability system and when you think about the scoring, students can score at the approaches, meets, or masters level. Basically, Texas Color Bands has dissected this into color bands, so wherever the student lands, then we know how to drive them into the next color band. So it's giving us real-time data about where our students are, so it's pretty exciting. And then I am going to give it back to Wes to talk about how we are holding all of these things together. Of course, it takes campus-based instructional leadership, so he's going to talk a little bit about the things that we're providing our campus administrators and our leadership teams.
Thank you very much. So in addition to the coaching that principals also get from Dr. Crooks and myself, as we go do learning walks with principals and we get in and out of classrooms. We're also providing many of our principals with additional coaching through the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, or NIET. And so with that, a coach comes in and they help principals to identify key aspects of campus operations that are going on and how they can bolster that. And with that, we get to sit in on those coaching conversations and walk those classrooms with that coach as well. Because we all know that we all need coaching from time to time. So we get that coaching as well, Dr. Crooks and I do, as we go through that particular process. And we think about, I always like to use the example of an NFL player. As great as they are, with the great skill sets that they have, they are still receiving coaching. And we feel that we continue to need to grow and build our capacity across the district as well. So that coaching goes throughout the year. Those principals get feedback from that particular coach and as well from Dr. Crooks and myself as we go and make those campus visits. So with that, we try to focus on all the things that are going on and make sure that it stays completely aligned so that at the end result, student outcomes are greatly improved. I think next up we have finance and budget overview, so I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Coy Martin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Coy Martin. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Greenville ISD. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the budget, the fiscal side of things, so that you can get an overview of what we're looking like as of right now. So Greenville ISD operates on a fiscal year beginning July 1st to June 30th, which is a little bit different from a lot of Texas school districts. And so we just like for people to know that. So what makes up our district budget? You know, there's a lot of things that go into the budget process for any company, but for a public school district, we have lots of revenue sources. We have different aspects that go into this and lots of different pieces to the puzzle. So this is a 3,000 foot overview of what it's looking like. So Currently, the School Board of Trustees has adopted a $66.43 million budget, and this is on the revenue side, what we're talking about right now. And our revenue is consisting of 3 different sources. So we have local property tax money, we have state revenue from TEA that comes in through TEA, and then the third piece is federal revenue, which isn't actually like grants and things like that. The federal revenue that we're talking about here is things like that we get for E-rate through technology or indirect costs through the grants that we have. So it's not actually all the grants, but the subsidies of it. And so kind of wanting to hone in a little bit on the local revenue or our tax collections, because that's what a lot of us here see on our tax bills every year. So we have a little over a $34 million tax collection budget for our local revenue. And that is based on our current tax rate of 0.9669. So a tax rate is comprised of two different pieces for a Texas school district. It's not just that one number that you see on your bill. It goes into 2 different pots of money that have to be completely separated. The first one is called the maintenance and operations, or M&O budget. And it is for things like salaries, benefits, utilities, insurance, classroom supplies, the things that are really being used to run the day-to-day operations of a school district. That's what the M&O piece of the tax rate is really funding. And so that piece of the tax rate is 67.69 cents. And then the other bucket of money, which is also completely separate, we have to by law keep them separated, is called the interest and sinking fund, or INS. That tax rate is 29 cents right now. And it is used solely and only to repay bonded indebtedness. So those are bonds that have been previously approved by voters, and so that is all of this bucket of money is being used for. So that's what those 2 pieces of the buckets comprise of our total tax rate of 96.69. And so we kind of want to talk about, we like to talk about our tax rate history just a little bit. So you can see here what the tax rate has been historically, starting from not this current year, but the last year of 24-25. It was the same tax rate as it is right now. But if you notice here on the far right of this chart, you can see that our tax rate has historically gone down pretty significantly over the past several years. This is pulling data from 2018-2019 school year to present. But I always like to throw this in there. If you go into the school district the GISD website, go to the finance homepage, you can actually see over 2 decades of tax rate history data that does show that we have historically decreased our tax rate every single year consistently over many years, over 2 decades. And so it's really important to know that, because we started one place really high, but now we're really low, operating on minimum amount of property tax dollars. So whenever we're talking about expenses, because that was what I just spoke about was our revenue budget, then you have the second part of the budget that the board approves, which is the expenditure budget. So this is really everything going out of the district whenever we're paying our bills and utilities and insurance, the payroll, the benefits, everything like that. So approximately, we estimated that our expense budget is about $66.02 million. And that is being very conservative, I will add. We are very strategic and purposeful whenever the team and I are going through and working with the board and Dr. Lopez and cabinet on the budget. We make sure that we're cutting where things need to be cut, and we're doing everything to get everything down as minimally as possible. And so that's really important to note here, because this is a bare minimum number that we have to operate the district over a 12-month period. Approximately 80% of this amount of money goes straight to salary and benefits. So that's really important to note, because 80% is a lot of money for this piece, when you're looking at an overall budget. So after that 80% is taken out off the top from salary and benefits, you have about 20% remaining, obviously. Simple math there. And then after that, you have about 7 to 8% that immediately goes to insurance and utilities. And so it's important to note that too, because you may think 20% is a lot of money to be able to use to do all the other things. Well, it's not, because it immediately has to be set aside for utilities and insurance. And as you know, those are on the rise. So we do have to be very mindful of that. So after that, is about 11 to 12%, and that is truly what we have left in our budget to be able to operate and run the day-to-day. So as you can tell, getting the bigger picture there of the story, you can see it's kind of hard. It makes it difficult, especially with aging buildings and facilities, because we have plumbing problems and HVAC issues. And so that 11 to 12% is constantly, and very quickly, I might add, it gets eaten up by all of the things that do happen and occur in a school district whenever we're running our day-to-day. So what is the financial health of the school district? So those two pieces that I spoke of, we just do some simple math. It means that we have a surplus budget. We like to talk about this because in the state of Texas and today's economy, it's really, really difficult to have surplus budgets. Statistics last year showed that about 18% of school districts in the state of Texas adopted surplus budgets, and the rest all had to adopt deficit budgets. I really strive hard. I work, and I know the board really wants this as well. I work really hard with my team and I to make sure that we are trying to aim to adopt a surplus budget every year. What does a surplus budget really mean in reality? You hear that, you see that it's green, looks great. A surplus budget, what that really means is that we really did our diligence in the budgeting process to make sure that we were fine-tuning and bringing a comb through everything to make sure that our expenditures were bare minimum, but we were maximizing our revenues. When we're maximizing our revenues, that really consists of a lot of different pieces, working at our investments and with all of our banks and things like that. And I say that because we have one of our bank partners right here in front of me, but it's really being just really strategic about our budgeting and our financial practices. So and I kind of mentioned this, I jumped the gun here a little bit, but yeah, districts across the state are these in this day and time, specifically post-COVID, having and being forced to adopt deficit budgets just to get their districts by. And so with all that said, every year we have external auditors that come into the district. They look at our financials, anything that has a dollar sign in front of it down to a penny. They're looking at very strategically over about a 2-week time span in the summer. And so they come in every year, they look at our financials, and they generate an annual financial report that's presented to our board. Our board then reviews it, approves it, and then once it's approved, it goes to a second set of auditors at TEA who look at it and determine that the audit looks great. And for Greenville ISD, I'm proud to say that it usually does. We've done really, really good in that regard. And so with that being said, leading up to this, TEA for many, many years now has ensures that there's accountability in financials, just like there is with the academics that Dr. Crooks and Wes spoke about earlier. But they had this system called the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, also known as FIRST. And it's a report that's generated based on our financials. It's done and presented by data from external people, so it's not something that we're going in and inputting ourselves by any means. After all of that's done, there's a lot of different factors that go into the scoring system. And essentially, after the scoring system is done and in place, and after all the financials are looked at, you get a score, just like the kiddos get in the classroom. You can get a 60, you can get a 70, 80, all the way up to 100, and it has a letter grade. And so I'm proud to report that Greenville ISD for the 3rd year in a row has received a perfect score of 100 or an A for financial accountability. And so we're really proud of this, and I think it's worth talking about and mentioning more. And so my plan is to keep up this hard work so that we can continue to be able to present to our board and our community that we're being fiscally responsible. So this last year in 2024-25, I worked with Dr. Lopez. We did a lot of things to try to figure out how we could get kiddos in the classroom, because attendance drives revenue essentially, and so that's why I was very much involved with this. And so last year we created an attendance initiative where we were able to provide our principals money based on their attendance in their classrooms. So basically every 6 weeks we ran reporting to see what their attendance looked like as compared to the last year, and also what it was in regards to that year. So we had a lot of factors in there. So basically all that to say, we had a significant gain in regards to our attendance from the prior year to last year. So 23-24 to 24-25, we had a 1.1% increase in ADA, which is huge. And I did the math, and that equates to about $610,000 So if that goes to show you, when kids are in the classroom and learning, it also equates to additional revenue so that we can provide those additional supports and things that on the academic side that we need to be able to do to provide to our teachers, to our students, and to our staff. Okay, child nutrition falls under my peer review as well, and so we're really proud of these initiatives that I'm going to talk about really quickly. So first off, as of last school year, Greenville ISD was approved as a full community eligibility provision program through the Texas Department of Agriculture and TEA. So what is CEP is what it's known for. It means that all kids in our school district get free breakfast and free lunch as long as they're here and they come to school. That's amazing. Our kids, as long as they show up and they're in the classrooms, they can come to our cafeterias for morning for breakfast and for lunch and get a free meal. So that was we were really successful this last school year with that program starting out. We had a lot of participation. In fact, we had a lot of increase this last year. And so we wanted to add to that because the Texas Department of Agriculture actually does an additional supports in that regard for our students. And so we actually just recently started on October 1st of this year, for this school year, what's called the free dinner for after school enrichment program, which is basically the same thing, but it's for dinner for any type of after school activities like ACE, extracurriculars, tutorials. And so as long as it has a after school enrichment component to it, the kids that are signed up and come to that can get a free hot meal. So we are able to, as long as you're here with us and participating and active, you can get a free breakfast, free lunch, and free dinner. So we are really proud of that. Because studies, I do want to, yes. And I do want to add, there are a lot of studies out there, if you do your research on this, the studies do show that whenever kids are in the classroom and they have full tummies, they are able to learn so much better. So that's why this is important. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Chief.
Good afternoon. My name is Ramon Rodriguez. I'm the Chief of Police for the Greenville ISD Police Department. And before we get started, I have a gift card to Starbucks that I want to give out. So I know we've all watched cop shows, right? Everyone's seen them. I can name all of them, but so 10 codes. Who knows what 10 codes are? Anyone? 10 codes? 10, 10, 10, 10, 8, I'm 10, 4. Okay, that stuff, all right? So if you have any type of background in law enforcement, you are not allowed to play for this $20 gift card to Starbucks. So with the raise of hand, when I say, if you know what this is, please raise your hand. You get it right, you get the gift card. So what is a 10-10? Anyone know what a 10-10 is? Yes, you can't. Yes, sir. No, wrong. You can't play, Dr. Stewart. All right. 10, so I'm going to give you an easier one. What is a restroom break? If an officer needs to take a restroom break, they're going to say, show me 10 what? No. Someone said it. Yes, Ms. Draco, good job. So it's 10-100 or 10-200. So give her a round of applause. So great job. That is a little bit cheating, but we love you, so. I do have a couple of officers that I wanted to invite up here while I'm talking about this presentation. So unfortunately, we all know in the society we live in, we have to have police officers on school campuses. It is a law now that we have to have armed individuals, police officers, marshals, whatever it may be, on our campuses. So like Dr. Lopez says, we want the best of the best here at Greenville ISD. I believe we have the best of the best within our police department. And I want to talk a little bit about these officers here. I do want to start with Sergeant Carper. Sergeant Carper came to us, served in the Marine Corps, Greenville Police Department. Now he's here with us. We're very fortunate to have him. He is our training coordinator. He does everything for us: firearms, defensive tactics, physical training. We were just, our entire department was up early this morning. We were on the track every in-service day. We're out there, we're running miles, doing push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, you name it. I think our slowest, are we good? all those departments were there. And again, he finished number 1. He was the only ISD police officer at that training. You do not see ISD police officers attend SWAT school. It just does not happen. You can ask around. So again, we really pride ourselves on having the best of the best. And then Officer Jimmy Enriquez, he's going to be our new canine officer. I'm sure you guys saw a post that we are going to get our first official canine ever in the history of our department. So we're really excited to add that to our department. It's to be named. So we're having a little naming contest now. So we're excited to see what we choose as a district for the name of our new canine officer. So, and then the last thing that I do want to reiterate about these officers is that, especially with Officer Benjamin, when he went through that training, you can imagine every police department has a shortage right now. They're constantly, just like school districts are hiring teachers, police departments are hiring police officers. Officer Benjamin, any of these officers could easily go to any department within 15 to 30 miles of us and make double what they're making. But it's not about that for them. They're here for the right reasons. That's the officers we want, right? Here for the right reasons for our kids. They love our community. They love Greenville ISD. And that's why, now I hear they love their boss and that's why they really stick around. That's what I hear. That could be a rumor, but we are so grateful that they're here. They stick with us year in, year out. So I just wanted to highlight these officers, let you guys know that we do have the best. We're training the best that we can so we can protect everyone every single day. So again, we do have 10 officers. 60% of our officers are SWAT certified. That's really important because the last thing we want is a Uvalde to happen here at Greenville ISD. God forbid, in the event of emergency, if something was to happen like that, we are ready and trained to respond to whatever emergency it may be. And we definitely won't have a situation like that. We also have 10 student engagement officers. Now, they're not certified police officers, but they do work with us under the police department. They help us check doors. They're kind of like a security guard. They help our principals and assistant principals with behavioral issues on campus. They're always out in the hallways helping. So that is a really big, and you can ask our principals at any point in time what their student engagement officers mean to them on their campuses. So really happy to have that. Of course, we're available for emergencies 24/7. We run drills throughout the school year. Our students, our staff, everyone's ready and prepared, trained in the event of any type of emergency. So we're always making sure that everyone's ready to go in case of some type of emergency. So that's a little bit of our police department. I want to thank you all again for being here. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Anderson.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Greg Anderson. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Operations. It is a pleasure to be here with you as a 1987 graduate of Greenville High School. And I bring that up because I'm a second of 3 generations to graduate from here. Our facilities have aged well over the years. The average age of a facility in Greenville ISD is over 50 years of age. Now, some of you may recognize the look of the facilities because they look similar over those 50 years or longer that they've been in existence. But we do what we can to bring our facilities up to date. We have 2 facilities that are in the 75-year range. LP Waters is at 75 years old. That's the old Carver High School. All right, Greenville Middle School is 74 years old. That was the old high school, right? And then Crockett is at 71 years old. This building that we refer to in Greenville as the new high school is right around 45 years old. And then Bowie, which is our newest building, is at 9 years old. Hard to believe that 9 years have passed already since that building was constructed. So how are we taking care of our facilities? Well, we're trying to renew and refresh what we have. If you will look on the left-hand side of the screen, that is the way the football field used to look. Turf lasts on average 8 to 10 years, along with the track. Greenville ISD got 11 years out of the turf and the track that's there. But this year it was time for safety of our students to be able to go in and replace that turf The turf that we went with is much more cushy, I guess, if you will, than the previous turf. It's less impact on students when they're hit and they fall on that. It also keeps the temperature, I think it's about 13 degrees lower than the other types of turf that are out there. In addition, we went back and had the track taken back out, resurfaced, paved and resurfaced, and with that, it has a much more greater cushion to it than the previous track did as well. You can also see the markings. It really pops. It really stands out. It looks nice if you haven't seen that. It was a good job that was done. And in fact, our geotech gave kudos to Greenville ISD for having a sidewalk all the way around the track, because he said it costs you a lot less money to make this repair than other districts that don't have that type of surfacing around there. So we were proud to hear that. Now, if you grew up in Greenville or have been here in this building before, you remember it looked different in the cafeteria, right? Had the tan brick, it had the cream colored on the walls. It looks a little bit different today. Anybody like what you see? That was a project a few years in the making. A design was done a few years ago. Some rules changed, so it had to sit on the shelf. Our superintendent and our school board were able to come up with money from both the child nutrition side and the district side to be able to make this happen. We had crews that came in this summer that painted it, that put in the new furnishing. It now seats more students than it did before. But what I also want you to notice is it doesn't have just the rectangular tables sitting here. It's not the old style. It's actually set up where you can have conversations. And now we have a new rule in our schools where you can't have a cell phone out during the day, right? And the interesting thing is, if you talk to the principal of the school, he'll tell you, the noise level in the cafeteria is higher than it used to be. Why? Because our students are actually having to sit down and talk to each other face to face. They're actually having to have conversations and to socialize. And I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think that's a good thing. All right? Now, we did point out that if you look at some of the tables, they do have chargers in there. We didn't tell the students this, but we didn't plug them up. So they do not charge. All right. This was not the only building that received that treatment, though. The middle school did as well. It may not be quite as flashy because it's more rectangular inside in the shape, but it got new seating, new structure in there as well. And it took a building that looked very dated and now makes it look much more modern, much more conducive to students being able to sit down and have those conversations, and it seats more students than it did in the past. Again, helps with our capacity. We also took the old King Street building, that is, it used to be the administration building that sat there. For several years, it went unused. It was mainly a storage facility. Shannon Fulps, our IT assistant superintendent, said, hey, there's a use for that building. Our crew could take that building and use it and have offices there, and we can do some things with that. So our department, working with his department, developed a plan. Our school board was supportive of that. Our superintendent was supportive of that. We were able to go inside and basically gut the interior of that building, do some repurposing, new carpet, new ceiling tiles. We changed over from the fluorescent to the LED lighting. We made the old boardroom into a professional development area. We made some other old offices into some training areas with computers. Our technology folks are there. It is a functioning building. Still have a little bit of work to do on the outside, but the inside looks nice, new, and it's one of the places that we receive our new teachers and we do training, and it's opened up all kinds of opportunities for the district. So that building is in use. At this time, we're going to talk a little bit about the bond scope. I think Dr. Lopez is going to come up and lead the first part. All right. I was going to run from the back, but then I thought, this is being televised live. I don't want to flop. And then everybody would be like, what happened with that guy? But obviously it it behooves us to talk about the bond while we've got you all here with us. And so if you haven't heard, Greenville ISD has called for a bond. But what I wanted to share with you was this was not an overnight process. This was something that our Board of Trustees really thought about, prayed about, reflected on, myself as superintendent of schools. But most importantly, we knew that it could not be board-led. It could not be superintendent-led. This needed to be community-led. And when I say that, it needed to come from our parents, from our staff members, from our community leaders. Some of you actually that are here with us today served on that committee. And so they went through about a 6-month process of wrestling with ideas, talking about bond amounts, talking about where we wanted to be. And so what I want to go through with you is just a process of, we reviewed our district-wide historic and future enrollment projections. We assessed the campus and departmental priorities. Part of that was we hired WRA architects to come in and help us with this process, to walk us through it, to meet with our district staff, to meet with our board of trustees, to meet with our community members, and just talk about everything. Because one of the things that coming in as a first-year superintendent that I heard, and as I did my first year of rounds and touring the district, was that we needed to have two-way communication. It couldn't just be one way. One way is where I just get up and talk to you guys listen, and there's no feedback. And if we're going to grow as a district, if we're going to really, really make it happen, we had to have that two-way dialogue to have that process. And that involved us hearing the good, the bad, the ugly. We're not going to get to our point if we're so quick to say we've got all the answers. And so we gathered the feedback from the Facilities Planning Committee of community members, parents, students, and staff. There were different trains of thought, and what I want to share with you, I know time is limited, but what I want you to know is that there were many discussions, and so you obviously see that a recommendation was made to the Board of Trustees on August 11th in the amount of $399 million, right? Part of the process that went on behind the scenes was there were discussions on, do we go out for a $200 million bond? Do we go out for a $399 million bond? And we had to wrestle with that because there were different trains of thought. First of all, regardless of whatever amount we were going to go out for, that was going to be a huge ask for our community. Knowing full well that we have failed at 3 bonds. It is what it is. We cannot change the past, but we've got to definitely start looking forward. So some of the discussions that I want to share with you that happened was, well, why don't we do $200 million? And then the question came up, well, is there ever really a good time for a bond? Obviously, there's never a good time. It would be remiss of us not to realize that, let's say that we did go for $200 million and it passed. Great, everybody's excited, but then we've got to come back in 2 years and $399 million is now, the remaining $200 million has now turned into $300 or $400. At that point, somebody's going to say, well, why didn't we just do the $399 while we had it and locked in at that amount? The other thing is that, keeping in mind, is that there's no guarantees. We could pass one at 200 and then come back 2 years later and fail. So the committee made the decision to kind of go for the gusto. It surprised us as a board, as a superintendent. But one of the things that I'm going to share in full transparency, and my board of trustees that are here with me today will attest to this, is that we had to honor what the committee brought to us. If we weren't going to honor the 6 months that they've put in and the time and the discussions, if I'm a committee member, I'm going to turn around and say, well, then why'd you have me on this darn committee to begin with? If you were going to do what you wanted to do, you wasted my time, you wasted my heart, my efforts, my two-way communications, and you made a decision. So we honored that. But what I want you to know is that that $399 million was not something that we came to overnight. It was a process, and it required feedback from our community, from our principals, from our staff members to get us to this point. And it was inclusive of where are we going to get to and where are we going to be. Obviously, Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. But what I also want to share with you is that, do we have the 3 focal points on this one? No. One of the things that I want to share as well before I step down, and I'll kind of come back and end this after they've shared 2 other slides, is that we are not just focused on our students down the road. I was doing a community presentation 3 weeks ago, and if you heard this, I'm sorry, you get to hear it again, but I had a community member come up and say, Dr. Lopez, in your presentation, as you spoke to us, you talked about 5 years, 10 years, and we want to make sure that whatever decision we make here, it's going to support us. And obviously, if you look at our history with our buildings, they run the gauntlet. 75 years, 50 years. We know that our buildings are going to be with us for the long haul. But they said, don't forget about the students that are sitting in your classrooms right now. So as the proud superintendent, as a proud parent, if you don't know, I've got two beautiful kids that are enrolled here in GISD. They attend Lamar Elementary. They're fourth graders. Well, yes, it's about my kids too. And I'm proud to say that as a Greenville citizen. We just bought a home here, hoping to make a long run and stay here for many years. But as a taxpayer, it is about our kids right now. So if anybody wants to debate that, it is about our kids now, and it is about the future of Greenville, so that we know that down the road, this $399 investment is what was going to take us into the next 40 or 50 years. That is at the core of this. At this time, I'll let, Greg Anderson's going to come up, and then Coy, and then I'll come back and wrap it up.
We're going to look at the 30,000-foot view, and I'll do this quickly because I know time is of the essence. On this bond, there is a new high school for grades 9 through 12. And in that high school, it's going to have the capacity of 2,300 students. That's new classrooms. That's a new CTE portion of the building. It's an ag barn. It is a new auditorium. It is fine arts areas. It's going to have science labs in it. It's going to have practice facilities for our athletics. It does not include a new stadium. The current stadium is the one that we will continue to use, but it does have the practice facilities for those students, and it will have a storm shelter that's able to take care of the 2,300 students, the faculty, and the visitors that meets the new codes. It's repurposing this building to be used as a middle school campus for grades 6 through 8. Currently, the 6th grade is part of Travis Intermediate School, so that would move to this facility as a middle school, making Travis a K through 5 elementary, spreading 5th grade back across the district. It would also be New Horizons High School exterior renovations, signage, that type of a project, land acquisition for the high school and future projects. So as we all know, if you drive around Greenville, a lot of land is being bought by developers. The district needs to make purchases not just for now, but for future bonds that are out there. A new high school is going to take between 70 and 100 acres typically. The district doesn't have land that does not have facilities on it of that size, so it requires us to make that purchase. It's going to be a new LP Waters Early Childhood Center. That's our pre-K center. It's going to be a Lamar Elementary and Carver Elementary additions with classrooms, science labs, and then renovating the inside of the building. The addition on both of those buildings will be their storm shelter for that facility. Travis, Bowie, Crockett classrooms would all get renovations. Those renovations are going to include things like replacing the flooring, doing the painting, moving all the fluorescent lights out, bringing in LED throughout the building, and then new furniture across each of those buildings. The important thing to know is this: every instructional facility in the district is impacted in some way, in some shape, by this bond. And at this time, is it? Sir?
All right, so we talked about the bond scope, so now what's the impact? So with a $399 million bond, there will be a tax increase. And so it's really hard to say because everyone's home values and your own personal exemptions and things like that are different. So what we did is we just created an estimate based on what we have from Hunt County Appraisal District values. The average home value in Greenville, Texas right now, according to our last report in July of 2025, was $260,000. So if you use that amount of a home and you take out all the homestead exemptions, and mind you, there is a homestead exemption increase on the ballot for November 4th. So after all of that, it will be about a monthly impact of $16 per month. And so we just kind of wanted you to have that information. I'm going to really quickly just say, if you have a lower home value of, say, $200,000, you take out the homestead exemptions, that gives you about a $60,000 taxable value on your home. That would be about an $8 per month tax impact. Go a little bit higher, $350,000 home. After all the homestead exemptions, that's about a $210,000 taxable value on your home, which means a monthly impact of about $28 per month. So you have a little bit of a range so you can see, because it's not a one-size-fits-all, which leads me to my last statement. Make sure that you're very much informationally aware about your own exemptions on your home and things that apply to you in your own personal thing before hitting the ballot box, because you need to be aware of what your situation looks like before going and doing that, not after. For example, if you are 65 plus or older, you do have a specific homestead exemption that you can apply for at your Hunt County Appraisal Office or any appraisal office. And that would lock in your tax rate for school districts at a ceiling that you would not ever go above. For example, if you had this tax rate that would be an increase, and you already had that 65 plus or disabled homestead exemption, your tax rate would not increase. Yours would stay locked in at your ceiling. And there also on the ballot is a homestead exemption increase by $50,000 on the 65 plus or disabled. So you should note that as well. Dr. Lopez?
What I will also share with you, and now that I've got your attention for a couple more minutes, because I know time's ticking, is that one of the other questions that came up was about financial transparency. And if you know anything about me, I'm black and white. I like to call it like it is, not beat around the bushes. But, you know, one of the things that Mr. Corey Martin's done a great job is when we did some tax notes for some buildings, he was quick to put that on our website. And so if you go to our Greenville website, you can see the purchases, the expenses that have been made. I've shared this in our groups that, you know, should the bond pass, if we get to that finish line, we will continue to be transparent in all that we do. I know Corey's working up a plan that he'll have, that anybody can go to and see where our expenses are at. That, one, builds trust. Two, it remains, we're consistent with transparency. And three, we're going to hold true to completing the projects that will be approved, if approved. What I'd also like to end with is, you know, we know that this today, we hope was beneficial for you. We hope that you've got to see a glimpse of all the great things that are happening here. You know, we know that our work is cut out for us as a district, as a community. We know that together with your support, working hand in hand with the Lord's blessings and just a little bit of luck, you know, we're on the right path to success. We know that it's a lot of hard work that lays ahead. We thank you for all of our partnerships. We know that we're blessed to have you here in our community, in our lives, in our students' lives, most importantly, for all of the community of GISD. Before I let you go, we just got to try one thing for fun, you know. We are lions here, and so I can't let you leave this room without a roar. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go Lions, and then we can roar together, you know, because we've got to put some noise out there. We've got school spirit. Even if you're from Wolf City, even if you're a fox from Caddo, I'll let it slide. Get that green out of here. We only see red, white, and black. But I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go Lions, and then we'll do a roar. If it doesn't come out loud enough, the teacher in me is going to make you do it again. All right. 1, 2, 3, go Lions. Roar. All right. Have a great afternoon. Thank you for being here. And all of my cabinet will be around if you want to ask us any more questions. We're here. Thank you. God bless you.
This video has been brought to you by Juice. Juice is your community-owned provider for electric, internet, cable TV, and true local programming.